I can physically perceive the transformation occurring at this very moment. There is a palpable atmosphere present, something finally surfacing after years, actual years, of being concealed. Someone attempted to break you, sending something your way intended to be the final blow, the exact element meant to extinguish your light permanently. They simply leaned back and observed, as if it were entertainment, granting themselves front row seats to your ruin. However, that outcome never materialized. It did not happen at all. And here lies my intuition. I need you to truly internalize this concept because its roots run deep. Whatever actions this individual inflicted upon you historically left authentic scars and genuine, lingering damage. It required an immense duration, truly an incredible length of time, for you to piece yourself back together. You were forced to rise from the ashes and rediscover your identity after someone labored to convince the entire world that you were the antagonist. Yet the wildest aspect, and the part that genuinely saddens me for your sake, is that you were not alone in being heard. Rather, you stood completely alone in receiving belief. The community, specifically speaking, chose not to remain neutral on the sidelines. Instead, they selected a side, and they chose incorrectly. They actively opted to embrace the narrative, echo it, and amplify it. Perhaps older women or lifelong acquaintances whom you deeply trusted gazed upon you and concluded that you lacked any worth defending. Certain individuals lacked full knowledge of the situation, while others understood precisely what was unfolding, yet deliberately looked away. I must inform you that this silence proved just as destructive as the explicit mistreatment, merely operating at a slower, more insidious pace, because it arrived disguised as concerned remarks, sideways glances, and whispered doubts regarding your mental stability, credibility, and inherent value. Nevertheless, a shift is currently underway, driven by something far deeper than a random occurrence last week, as this momentum has been building gradually through compounding exposures. Individual pieces are falling into place, with people finally connecting dots that should have been apparent from the beginning. Consequently, the community that cast you aside to the wolves is beginning to experience profound discomfort within their own skin. Allow me to paint a picture to help you visualize this unfolding scenario. The individual who endeavored to portray you as unstable, unhinged, and problematic is experiencing a literal melting of their mask. This unraveling is defying their timeline and remaining entirely outside their control. Observers are now re-examining the statements previously made about you, including the accusations, character assassinations, and the way your sanity was questioned, instead of scrutinizing their own consciences. They are coming to a realization that they were manipulated and acted far too hastily in rendering judgment without demanding a single piece of evidence. Instead of asking for clarification regarding the actual events, they simply accepted the premise that you were the villain and ran with it. The overwhelming hypocrisy of the situation stands out starkly, as these individuals may attend religious services, practice daily affirmations, and speak endlessly about righteousness and spiritual principles while concurrently working against you. They circulated your name as if it were synonymous with disgrace, ensuring you remained marginalized, sabotaging your opportunities, isolating you, and slandering your reputation, all while maintaining a profound sense of righteousness by convincing themselves they were protecting someone and acting on the correct side of history. Yet this is where the dynamic grows fascinating, because the narrative they constructed is decaying from within. The broader community, those outside the inner circle who received fragmented scraps of information and accepted them purely due to trusted sources, are waking up, paying attention, analyzing the evidence and reading between the lines to realize they have been lied to and meticulously manipulated without their awareness. This marks the definitive turning point, because when the innocent majority recognizes that community pillars, previously viewed as trustworthy and morally upright, are driven purely by financial gain, status, and control, the entire foundation shudders. The overarching narrative is rewritten, compelling people to reevaluate every single piece of information they received, every judgment they cast against you, and every instance they hesitated to offer assistance out of uncertainty regarding whether you were truly the problem. As a consequence, those who previously led the loudest condemnations are growing exceptionally quiet, plagued by a creeping, inescapable dread born from the knowledge that their true character beneath the facade of niceness is about to be exposed. This prospect terrifies them because losing control of a narrative occurs rapidly. Once an individual begins asking questions, another seeks factual answers, and a third uncovers concrete, undeniable proof that replaces hearsay with documented reality. My strong impression is that someone close to these community members engaged in a deeply dark act, causing severe trauma. And when you attempted to articulate your truth, these protective figures materialized to attack you rather than holding the perpetrator accountable. They prioritized shielding a loved one over upholding justice, much like the courtroom scene in A Few Good Men, where the truth emerges and everyone realizes they defended an indefensible lie in favor of institutional loyalty over humanity. A similar slow-motion exposure is destabilizing your community. Individuals are experiencing their own personal reckoning regarding their poor choices and complicity, highlighting a harsh contrast where you suffered devastating hardship, yet received isolation, blame, and labels of instability, anger, and vindictiveness, while the actual wrongdoer was defended and granted the benefit of the doubt. However, people are finally observing your trajectory as you highlight your new business, your independent life, and your inaccessible boundaries, recognizing that you refuse to shrink, harbor bitterness, or allow their narrative to define your identity. You pressed forward, built your life, and began radiating an unbothered energy while releasing the need for their validation or correct perception, leaving behind an impact infinitely more potent than any action they could execute. This dynamic triggers deep guilt and an artificial pull toward you, as certain individuals become desperate to prevent further exposure through superficial outreach like liking old social media posts, offering apologies for past absences, or attempting to buy their way back into favor via favors. It is vital to recognize that these gestures stem entirely from fear, specifically the dread of what might transpire should you formalize the truth. I am not necessarily referencing legal action, though consulting an attorney remains an option, but rather the simple act of converting whispered, suppressed cover-ups into public, unalterable matters of record that completely shatter their long-held narrative control. Within their minds, they justified their choices through incomplete information, deliberate ignorance of red flags, or a desire to avoid the complications and social costs of holding important figures accountable. They attempted to make peace with these choices, but true peace is impossible with deception. Eventually, the truth surfaces, shattering the facade and forcing them to confront their actual behavior, the choices they made, and the harm they endorsed. This momentum is not a sudden development, but rather the result of years of underground pressure, comparable to a hidden volcano building force, until it inevitably erupts and violently alters the entire landscape. Those who harmed you have contained this abuse for a long time, but the accumulating weight of objective truth makes eruptions unavoidable, leaving nowhere left to hide as reputations and statuses crumble before reality. Consequently, the community is undergoing a collective awakening, leaving genuinely principled individuals deeply ashamed of their passive compliance and susceptibility to group dynamics and social pressure. While some may attempt to approach you with amends, you bear zero obligation to grant forgiveness, grant access to your healing journey, or alleviate their guilt, as their remediation is entirely their own responsibility, while your focus remains solely on self-preservation. You successfully traversed an ordeal engineered for your destruction, emerging not merely as a survivor, but as someone who constructed a superior reality, forged an independent identity free from external validation, and discovered an authentic voice independent of performance. Those who targeted you remain trapped within rigid systems of fear, control, and hierarchical image management, whereas you stand liberated and future-focused. This disparity will continually expand as the truth circulates, causing your detractors to feel increasingly diminished by your ongoing success, which serves as a perpetual reminder of their ethical failures. Ultimately, truth possesses a shelf life, dependent on collective compliance, and with the collapse of the fraudulent narrative due to relentless questioning and evidence-seeking, you stand empowered to dictate your terms regarding engagement, privacy, public declaration, or justice. Your decisions now originate from a foundation of absolute clarity and autonomy, rather than mere survival, representing the exact power they feared all along. The moment you ceased requiring their approval and dismantled their entire controlling apparatus. Maintain your trajectory, continue construction, and trust your inner truth. Because the observing community finally understands that the initial narrative was an absolute falsehood, leaving them haunted not by your actions, but by the realization of their own moral cowardice.